Hello, and welcome to FAHCademics Podcast. My name is Rich Tolentino, a student at UC Davis. And in this podcast, we aim to provide you with accessible peer mentorship and advice to help you navigate through your college journey. Today, I am joined with Chloe Resngit, a fellow student at UC Davis. And Chloe is here to share with us some of her personal tips and advice on how to succeed in our classes. Hi, Chloe. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Rich. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Chloe, to start things off, if you could please introduce a little bit more about yourself and tell us some of the expectations that you had of how college classes were going to be like prior to coming to UC Davis.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name's Chloe. I'm a second year global disease biology major and music minor, and I'm currently FAHC's treasurer. So the question was regarding what I thought college would be like coming into it, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So coming into college, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I did really well in high school. So I was like, yeah, college is going to be a breeze. No. Okay. Um, I think for everyone for the most part could agree that you kind of just develop your study habits as you go. And college is completely different from any other educational experience that you've ever had. So you definitely grow as you go, and that's fine. So I think freshman year, it took me a minute to realize that. I was like, why aren't my study habits working? Why can't I just like wake up the morning of a test and go at it? Like that doesn't cut it in college, at least not for me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I felt the same way because I know in high school, I think classes are a little bit more easier. Even though we were taking the same topics and studying the same material, the way they teach it in high school is so much more different than in college. And I think it really is about developing your study habits as you go, like you said.
Right. And I think one of the main things that make high school and college very different is that college, you're paying for your education and you chose to be there, not the law telling you that you have to go to high school. Um, so you chose to be at that college and you're really independently, I guess, motivating yourself kind of thing. And you kind of just have to find it within yourself to be like, okay, I need to make my time here worth it,
Right.
especially since I'm paying so and so amount. Um, so you really need to like grind it out and have that realization within yourself. And for some that takes a minute, but for some it's right away.
Yeah, for sure. I really like your point of, we choose to be in college and we really invest a lot of time and money into it. And it takes a lot of decision for others to decide to go to college or not. Some try to take their year off or, some just go at it. And, it takes a lot of preparation as well to really be in that
Mhm.
mindset to succeed in college.
I think like one thing that some people have difficulty with is just like finding it and accepting that they are here for a reason, and no acceptance is a mistake. You're here at UC Davis or wherever you are, if you're listening from somewhere else. Um, you're here in college for a reason, and you have a purpose,
Yeah.
and you will get through it no matter how hard it is, and you're gonna find your niche that helps you study in this one class that you're extremely struggling in.
Yes, I love that. I think that really speaks to the fact that we all have the capacity to succeed because the admissions officer or the admissions team saw it in us.
For sure, for sure.
Now, you said that you were, a GDB major and you're at UC Davis. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that comes with taking classes in the quarter system and at a reputable university like UC Davis?
Right. So I think personally for me, the quarter system is way more fast paced than what I was used to. But I knew that I wanted to be in an academic setting that was fast paced because that was just how I rolled. But I wasn't completely used to it academically. Um, but I think the definite pro of being in a quarter system is that you have to be accountable with your study habits, your homework, just like you have to be organized and manage your time extremely well, because 3 weeks go by super quickly. Like I am still in shock. It's just like, wow. And you can easily get behind. And I think the quarter system really forces you to stay on track.
Yeah, I can definitely, attest to that because I remember in my freshman year, I was doing the normal freshman things, trying things out in college, like going to parties and going out
Right.
with friends, especially in the first 2 weeks, everyone, I was just so excited and everyone was so excited with me, especially freshmen.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
before I know it, I have this bio midterm I have to study for. And this is college.
Right.
Like the material that you study is so much more advanced that, you are used to sometimes. And yeah,
Right.
it's really fast. The quarter system really, really goes fast.
And I think one tip that like will help students when it comes to studying in the quarter system, you should be constantly studying, whether that be practice or homework or future readings, current readings, kind of thing. Um, I think you just really need to be consistent and have a routine
Mhm.
within your classes. So like Mondays are dedicated to math from 4 to 6 or whatever. Just having consistency within your week can really help keep you on track. And that consistency and routine is usually found within 2 to 3 weeks, possibly. And that's just in time for your midterms.
Yeah, just in time for your midterms. Yeah, definitely start early. I think is the biggest takeaway there. And, be organized with your schedule. I remember my first year, I never even heard of Google Calendar.
Oh my
Right. Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. That was how bad my organization was. But then everyone told me, you have to download Google Calendar. I didn't really listen that time. But then when the
Mhm.
midterms started to come and I took on more extracurricular activities, I really found the importance of being organized and having that, one app that just reminds you about everything. It's a really great way to
Right. I think,
track. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think everybody needs to find their one thing, like whether it be an app or a planner, notebook, your notes in your phone, the app.
Hmm.
I think you need to find that one thing that will keep you organized. Personally, for me, I have like three things. I have my physical passion planner. I'll rant about that thing all the time. I love it. I have my Google Calendar with like 10 different calendars on it. And I have my physical calendar that's above my desk right here.
Right.
So I think just finding what works for you, not one thing works for everybody. Um, Everybody has a different style, and whether you like typing things out and then making notes about it, or just like being really creative with a bullet journal or something. People can get really creative when it comes to organization. It doesn't have to be all boring and just I have a to-do list kind of thing. You could definitely get creative with it. My housemate actually recently found out you can do pastel colors on
Wow.
your Google Calendar.
Wait,
Yeah.
really? Wait, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get into that too. But wow. Okay.
You just need to find an outlet that like helps you focus. And if it has a creative outlet, that'd be really helpful because
Mhm.
you'd be more drawn to it and to use it. And it'll be fun to use it
Yeah.
too.
I think what you're getting onto here is that make everything work for you and like really knowing yourself and your passions can be a good
Right.
way to connect it to how you're going to succeed in class and how you're going to approach things. Yeah.
Right. That's definitely what I'm saying. But also, I just want to acknowledge that this self acknowledgement and knowing like what you're passionate about, what your style is, doesn't come right away. Especially talking to my first years, you're not going to find your organization, your correct study habits within the first quarter, most likely. And that's totally fine.
Mhm.
I can attest personally myself, and then a lot of my friends didn't figure out how to study for a final until spring quarter, and that's totally fine. It's definitely trial and error, and then figuring out what works for you, testing everything, and just being willing to put in the effort, because in the end it'll make it all worth it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think a good advice for the freshmen out there, or honestly anyone in any stage of their career or level in college, to not be discouraged by the failures that you have, throughout your classes, because ultimately we're all not alone in experiencing all the challenges. We're all going through it the same, and it's just, getting back up from probably a bad grade or a bad midterm grade and pushing through and being proactive about your education.
Right. It's definitely about just perseverance and
Yeah.
pushing on. And it definitely takes a lot of self-acknowledgement and knowing that within yourself.
Yeah. Now, moving on, as you said that you were a global disease biology major. So I would know that you take a lot of STEM classes, and in addition to that, UC Davis requires us to take a lot of GE classes, and that's usually in the humanities and the social sciences. Do you have, different approaches to how to excel in classes based on whether it is, more STEM focused or more on the humanities? And could you share that with us?
Yeah, so I think my first experience with a humanities class was international relations, Pole 3, and I had no idea how to go about that class because I was really STEM oriented before going into college. Um, so then studying for a humanities class, I was like, there's just a book in front of me. What do I do with it? There's no problems, there's no numbers, right? Um, but I think when it comes to humanities, it really is just about reading and understanding the concepts. I think more so flashcards kind of thing, maybe writing down, taking notes as you go, what you don't remember, what's a harder concept. Um, and definitely reach out to your humanities professors if that's a subject or an area that you really struggle in, especially practicing it and understanding the concepts, because it's definitely a different realm from STEM. Um, and sometimes people think, oh, it's just a humanities class. No,
Yeah.
don't think that. It's a it's a class, it's a college course, and you're gonna need to put in the same amount of effort as a STEM course if you struggle in that. And for my STEM courses, I it's all about practice. You just need to be constantly doing those math problems, those uh, those balancing equations. If that's what you're studying right now, it's just constant practice. It again goes back to consistency and routine where you need to put it into your calendar. Like personally for me, I have it in my planner when to practice math or practice stats or bio, things like that. And even if it isn't doing the problems, if those aren't assigned yet, you could always read the book and see if there's any new concepts that you could be learning. And sometimes professors will miss things or points or advice that can be found in the book. It could be really helpful. So recap, I would say humanities would be studying, reading notes, really trying to understand those concepts. And then STEM courses would mostly be practice, practice, practice.
Right. Yeah. I definitely agree. I know I'm taking organic chemistry right now, and my professor said that usually in the STEM classes, in any subject, like for example, especially chemistry, organic chemistry, or math or physics, treat them as like languages. And so if you want to practice a language, it's all about exposing yourself to people, or in this case, problems that would help you improve your skills. And so definitely, I think I agree with you. Constant practice in your STEM classes is really, really important, because it's kind of like building a muscle that is efficient in solving those. Yeah.
Right.
And also, you touched on when you were talking about studying for the humanities classes, was reaching out to professors. Could you elaborate more on that? Like how do people go about um, reaching out to professors and telling them about their struggles in class?
Right. Like reaching out to a doctor is like kind of intimidating. It's like, ooh, I'm just a college student pursuing a BS or a BA, right? But it definitely again takes that self-acknowledgement of saying like, hey, I need help.
Mm.
I'm struggling. I need to get this concept. And I think that's the first step. And then the second step is going through their office hours or talking to them right after lecture or discussion. Even your TAs can be super helpful. Um, like staying after the Zoom lecture or discussion again would just really be helpful, because sometimes the students will ask questions after lecture, and then you could just write down the notes, and
Yeah.
then you could also ask questions yourself. And also emailing. I think an important aspect to remember though with emailing is that you probably won't get a response very quickly, so just be careful with that.
Mhm.
And sometimes professors have Piazza outlets or maybe even Slack. Uh, and then also reaching out to students too would be a great outlet. I know a lot of classes have Discord or Facebook messengers. Um, so just finding out those different outlets that you can reach out to, yeah. But again, it definitely takes that self acknowledgement within yourself to be like, I need help, and that's totally fine. We
Yeah.
all need that sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I wasn't expecting in college and kind of like a myth that was broken for me was that professors don't care about their students. And when I came here to college, especially in UC Davis, everyone is so friendly and even the faculty is so friendly. And I was like, wait, I could just go to my professor and ask him about this question and I won't get judged or anything. He won't think, I'm at the bottom of my class. And I think that's a really good, assurance that everyone is ultimately there for you, even the students, as you said. And I think, having that support from everyone in the university can really help you succeed. It's just a matter of it. Do you want to get that help? And are you willing to be helped by others? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And your professors will definitely show that too.
Yeah.
They'll offer extra office hours. They'll stay longer after class. They'll offer review sessions right before a midterm or a final. And then they'll offer their email and other outlets that you can definitely reach out to. And it shows that they care, which can be difficult to find, but it's a blessing that we have a lot of it here at Davis. And I hope if you're listening from other places that you have it there too.
True. I love that. Now you talked a lot about friends and getting support from your peers. Now, being in college, I'm sure you're able to interact with a lot of peers and a lot of friends who are also figuring out the best way for them to excel in their classes. Have your peers or your friends been able to share their own experiences and personal strategies? And, what have you learned from them?
Yeah. So I think the best thing that I've learned about like learning my other friends' study habits and their organization is just knowing that there's so many different ways to
Yeah.
study or to organize. I think my favorite ever recently was finding out the pastel color thing on the Google Calendar. I think that's just like a fun little moment. Um, and then my other friend, they also have a giant whiteboard that they just put in front of their desk and they write their to-do list or random notes. I think another uh great tool to have is just having a whiteboard, or they have like a whiteboard sticker kind of thing, and you could put that on your desk or you could put it on the wall just for random notes. And then also if you're doing STEM courses or even for humanity courses for notes and things, drawing things out can really be helpful, especially if you know that you're is that a kinetic learner or a visual learner maybe.
Yeah, visual.
uh yeah, and then also, side note, figuring out what you learn best with visual, audio, kinetic. Um, that's also really important, and I think a lot of my friends discovered that this past year as well. Um, in high school, I actually had a friend that had like a texture pad, and she would
Wow.
write in crayon
Yeah.
with like vocab words, and she'd remember it.
Yeah.
So she figured out that she was a
Mhm.
kinesthetic learner,
Wow.
and I thought that was like really different. I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. Like she brought a texture mat to
Yeah.
school. It was really interesting.
Yeah,
um,
that's
and
awesome.
then there's also models. Yeah, there's models that you can buy for chemistry for those bonds and kind of things. Um, I think the the key takeaway here with all of these tips that I'm just throwing is creativity and figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being creative, I think, is a really good way to channel that, that willingness to succeed in classes. And for me, I think one of the biggest study styles that worked for me, especially for my humanities and social science courses, was talking to someone, a friend or a family, about the material that you learned. I think it's a really good way to reinforce your understanding and, figuring out the gaps in your knowledge. Because, if you can even explain it to a child, that's like the best form of summary. And if you're able to do that, you pretty much understand the complexities of the subject as well.
Yeah, the teach back method is like really great, especially if you're doing it with peers that are also in the class.
Hmm.
Um, that could be a really useful tool for you.
Hmm. Now, I know we talked a lot about, different tips, and we've been dropping them here and there. So to end things off, if you could now summarize and share with us your ultimate tips and advice on how to succeed in class that anyone could hopefully apply in any class that they take.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go over what tips I personally use, and then just generally some other tips too. So for in terms of time management, I just love the passion planner. It breaks down your day for you, and then you can just allocate hours
Mhm.
um, for certain subjects or other extracurriculars, so you can always stay on track. And I also utilize Google Calendar. I think it's really important to separate your calendars, not have one huge one where it just has everything. Separating your extracurriculars, your academics, work, other things, and then personal calendar as well. And then finally, having a whiteboard calendar above my desk really helps me. I just put like major dates kind of thing, not everything. I put like midterms, finals, tests, essays coming up, birthdays, so I don't forget it. It's like right above my desk and I can see it. Um, what's another study tip I do? Oh, I have an iPad. I really like it. I would totally recommend it for anybody that's thinking about purchasing one. It's really accessible for me personally because I keep my notes in OneNote and then I'm able to just write down. Then I can also access it on my laptop, which is really great for when I'm just want to be on my laptop and not switch laptop, iPad kind of thing. So if you have questions about that, go ahead and ask me as well. I'm happy to answer anything.
Mhm. And there you have it, Chloe and her tips to succeed in class. All right. Again, thank you so much, Chloe, for joining me today and being just overall very insightful. If you want to ask Chloe about any of the tips that she mentioned today or some of the calendar tips and ways to be creative, definitely reach out to her. I'll link her socials and ways to contact her probably in the description below. And of course, thank you for all of those of you watching and listening. I hope that you were able to find this very useful. With that, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good day.